very good day to everyone. Welcome to Career Program. How are you all of my dear friends? Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to thank to everyone in this hall for your allocating time to attend this program. My name Nufarisha Rashika. I am your first moderator for today's talk session entitled Mastery Interpersonal Communication Skill. Without taking much of your time anymore, let's we enjoy the first video as our opening sessions. What do you understand from this video? Though this is merely an advertisement, but watching it make you understand the importance of teamwork, right? So, where there is a will, there is a way. 81% of employees indicate that miscommunication occur in their organization very frequently and occasionally. On a scale from 1 to 5, manager rate the importance of having a good interpersonal skill at 4.37. From here, we can see that the influence of interpersonal communication skills plays an important role in creating a good relationship between employees as well as the success of an organization. Interpersonal skills are extremely important for creating and maintaining meaningful personal relationships in the workplace. People with good interpersonal communication skill can therefore build healthy relationships between their colleagues and work as much better as a team. Today, I want to share with all of you the best recipe of an effective and attractive communication. It is just must be hard, where it must be honest, open, and two-way. Actually, what is interpersonal communications? It is a social process involving understanding and transfer of information from one person to others through verbal and non-verbal message. In fact, 75% of our working hours are spent in communicating, especially in the workplace. For your information, our actions speak louder than the words. Of a message, 7% of it is verbally communicated and 93% is non-verbally communicated. It is not opposites. Verbal and non-verbal communication are intricately interwoven. If non-verbal cues do not match the tone and implication of the spoken words, the flow of communication is hindered. The receiver of the message tends to base the intention of the sender on the non-verbal cues he received. In fact, a miscommunication from the sender results in a misinterpretation of the receiver. Ladies and gentlemen, let's we go more deeper of this topic. I will pass it to the second moderator that will help you more clear on this topic.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. I'm Miss Laila Hazira binti Hassan Effendi, who will be your second moderator for the next session of Mastering Interpersonal Communication Skill among co-workers. How was your session with Miss Farisha? All of you already received the general briefing on this interpersonal skill. I know that all of you must be wondering by the needs to develop this skill, even though communication has already been practiced in the everyday work environment. So here, I will address several importance of the need to develop communication skill. First of all, of course, it will be help on foster effective communication, because the interpersonal communication skill is essential for both employers and employee to be good communicator, whereby the skill which to form effective communication has been practiced. Other than that, it fosters effective communication needs for establishment of relationship between ourselves as employee and workmates that will lead to mutual exchange of information, ideas and skills. So why communication need to be conducted in this manner This is because it's able to build better management of tasks and completion of assignment within the time orientation. And next, expand your opportunities, or in other words, is promotion, where you determine the level of your performance through your goal. By process of this communication skill, through connecting with manager and fellow workmates, the chance of being promoted into a good position is right there in front of you, and you have to take this opportunity to to assess the level in your field of interest. For instance, your company have set a good position, which of course a major impact on effective on your personal development. So what are you supposed to do is you have to impress them with the good performance of yours and productivity. Then they will provide you with a good reference, and maybe they would recommend you to sit on the higher position. So we will move to the build trust. Trustworthy issues always rise in the workplace when it involves employer and employee, when the employee feels deprived of a company, change directions and activities, and also the decision makings that includes hirings and firing, which made without consent of the worker, and not giving a proper warning that may lead employee would questioning their existence and employment status, and also they may consent to seek another alternative employment. The another issue is due to the lack of transparency would lead to disloyalty views among the workforce. For your information, American Psychologists Association state that employees in US where 50% of them believe with their superior, however quarter of employees tend to not put in trust of their superior. Interpersonal communication skill also importance on maintaining personal relationship, not just only to build personal relationship in the workplace, but also essential on maintaining the relationship within the personal boundaries. There are three kinds of behavior that you will need to develop in your assessment, which you have to have the consistency, follow through, and continued empathy. Because that you also might face multiple challenges to build the personal relationship. However, you manage to adapting it through this kind of behavior. Now we will go through to the effective leader as the importance of interpersonal communication skill. It does not important towards employee, however the needs of skill need also to be adapted by employee as well. If you are the leader, don't be afraid on adapting this interpersonal skill and encourage your teams develop together for enhanced communication. Employee will lead to their team to failure and a long-term process for achieving goal, because that the result in loss of productions and also the burden employee with a lot of additional works. However, different with the leader that who are concerned about their team valuable and existent, so that they will reach target by the time. So everyone, the last but not least, the importance of interpersonal skill that I would like to address to you is increased client satisfaction. In a workplace, it's just not about the concern of the relationship onwards your co-workers who receive the benefit for your tactful approach. However, you need to put a consideration and attention towards the client, because they are the source of your business successfuls and target. The client thought that you are aware of their needs and you are considered the one who fulfill their require. Hence, from the client's satisfaction, you will receive good remarks on your performance and contribution. I hope all the importance that I have been shared to all of you could bring the significant impact on all of you to acquire this interpersonal skill, communication, and adapt in the assessment of your work's performance. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My full name is Nurul Anis Adila binti Zakaria. Anyway, you can call me Miss Anis. So, how was your day? Are you fine? Alright. Actually, I am happy that we have this chance to talk in this platform. So, here I am is to talk about tips to building and improving your interpersonal skill in your workplace. So, as you can see, this is the quote from Robert with Lucas said that the challenge that many people face when interacting with others is that they lack the necessary interpersonal skills needed to be effective. Having said about what interpersonal skills are and the advantage we get out of it, we shall now move on in the next part to discuss essential tips and ideas to build your interpersonal skills. It is also important to note that it all comes down to self-awareness and practice. If you know yourself better, your positive, your negative, things you can improve and the like, it becomes easy to teach skills that are needed explicitly to you. Here are a few important ways that will help you build these skills. Okay, so what is first tips? So first tip is you must practice empathy. So to be empathetic means that you are able to identify and understand others' emotion instead of imagining yourself and someone else's position. Understanding how people feel will help you communicate your thoughts and ideas in a way that makes sense to others, and it helps you understand others when they communicate. Tips number 2 is good communication is a must. So, for example, if you want to avoid conflicts, misunderstandings, and wrong portrayal of what you are trying to say, good communication is essential. Good communication have even sealed the deal in most cases. That's why good verbal, non-verbal communication are an effective interpersonal skill that people should build. Number 3 is you must accept people. So, not everyone is like you, so try to accept people for who they are. You will get a good perspective so that you will know how to handle them. Instead of judging, you can get to know people. A new member of the team needs good welcome and acceptance. If they're an uncomfortable person in your team, invite them and make them comfortable. Tips number 4 is don't be a complainer. So don't whine or complain about others people's works or behaviors. If you can do some things positive about it, try it. If you don't have anything good to say about them, it's okay. Circumstance and situation change people. From their perspective, it can look good, but it can look bad. But it doesn't mean you can speak about their negative to others. Stop the habit of blaming. Next is good verbal communication, which is it has the power to solve any troubles. It can bring people together, teams together, and even concern together. An important interpersonal skill that you have to have is a good communication. Talk, convey clearly, and express your thought all with a positive tone. It is a good practice. Employees appreciate people who are good communicators and problem solvers. Number 6 is encourage people. Be a mentor to people who are struggling to land their feet. Encourage people to do their best and bring out best in them. If you are new to your office, join hands with people who are new like you. They will have far hesitation and other emotional roller coaster ride like every other fresher. Encourage them, support them as you grow, and it will gain you more respect. Apart from that is let go of the ego. As we know, ego spoils everything. Let go of it. Holding on to anger, ego, and hate deprive your happiness, well-being, and productivity is a golden rule in building good interpersonal skill. Don't let your ego cloud your judgment, relationship, and good manners. And remember, the workplace is filled with people who don't know you well. Next is you must appreciating others. Appreciating people for their effort is a wonderful quality for having a good interpersonal skill. No matter the result, just go and appreciate people around you for their effort, for their trying and performance. Thank them for their contribution to them. Even if it is small, appreciation whenever and wherever possible from you, it is a very important. Next is a team building. It's the most important quality you need in your workplace. Make your team an inviting place for everyone. Welcome everyone to your team. Don't make the new addition to your team as an outsider. It's a bad interpersonal skill you should avoid. Inspire a good team spirit in your team. Encourage them to speak freely and say what they have to say. Okay, for the last tip is live and let live. What does it mean? So, grow and let other people grow as well. Even if you don't practice any of the above, just the habit of live and let live covers it all. Those are the people who will like to see other people grow to like them. They will not hinder anybody performing in any way. So that's all from my talk. Thank you very much. I really hope that this tip will build and improving your interpersonal skill at your workplace. Next, I pass to the next moderator to give the talk.
Hello everyone, I'm Hidayah. Now you know the tips given by Miss Anis, right? So I'm going to talk about the 6 main elements that influence the interpretation of an act, which also known as the interpersonal communication. The first element is people, or the communicator, which is the sender, and the receiver. When you personally communicate with another person, you actually communicate with them based on your knowledge of the categories in which you place that person. The category could be about their culture, could be their status, or how educated they are. That will define how you will choose to communicate with them. Now, as a relationship develops and you communicate more with the same person, you actually become better at communicating that person. The actually reason is because you can actually start slowly anticipating how they may react or respond to something that you tell them. When it comes to interpersonal communication, the second and the most important element is the message itself. Now, the message itself not necessarily mean verbal message. It could be also non-verbal. Like if I'm standing in front of you and I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you." But if like, "Hey, it's nice to meet you." So I said the same thing. So here the verbal message is the same, but my tone, my body language, my excitement determine how the interpersonal skill occurred. The third element is feedback. Now feedback is the information we get in response to a message that we have sent. A feedback can be positive or negative. Also keep in mind that the two types of feedback, which is the verbal and non-verbal, where the verbal is when someone comes to you and tell you that they have received and understood the message that you have sent them, or they might want to discuss it, and it could be non-verbal when you ask someone to do something or you communicate a point to them. Their action, even if they not say it to you, their action will tell you that they understand it or not. Next element is a channel. It basically the thing through which the communication occurs. Now, when we talk about, for example, digital media, the channel could be an email. So the message we put by was put by me into an email. So this emailing process becomes the channel of communication. However, when it comes to non-verbal communication, the channel is the five senses, like the previous example that I just gave you: your body language, your tone, your facial expression, also put together the channel of the communication. The fifth element is the context, where the context is a very broad element. It refers to overall context in which you're communicating something. This could mean the physical environment, like whether you are at beach or at the workplace, or it could mean to whom you're communicating, whether it is a co-worker or close friend or relative or even on someone you do not know. So the context is the entire situation of communication, and the last element is the noise. When it comes to communication studies, the word noise means anything that can interfere the delivery of the message to someone else. Noise can be external, like environment, or physical discomfort. Like you try to talk to someone on the phone, but the network is so bad and you can't really hear them. Noise could be also internal, for example, racism or introversion. And a person can also be nice because this might affect the way they communicate with someone else. So when it comes to effect of the communication, is that you influenced by the communication. So basically, when someone communicate to you or you communicate something to someone, the effect to you or that person could be actually physical, emotional, or cognitive. or it could be a combination of any of these. So in conclusion, even these elements seem very simple, but if you master yourself at understanding these elements and how to use them and put together, you will be able to make a strong point or to communicate very strongly to someone else. So the better you understand this, the better interpersonal communicator you become. So let's go to meet our next learner to know more.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm the fifth moderator for today, Miss Aisyah binti Muhammad. I will explain to all of you how to get an effective interpersonal skill. For the first tip of getting an effective interpersonal skill, we have don't show negative body language. As the saying goes, the first impression is the last impression. Hence, you should always be careful when it comes to body language. A typical communication consists of more than 50% nonverbal communication, which includes body language. So, if your body language is sending negative signals to the other person, the communication will probably break down in the process. Another important point to note here is that you should not bring any physical barriers between you and the other person. Barriers can create distraction and can make the communication process uncomfortable. Second is, do not interrupt the other person. It is very rude to interrupt a person while they are speaking. Nobody likes to be interrupted because it hampers the throughout process and it is disrespectful. If you have to make an interruption and it is necessary for you to speak at the exact moment, then you need to make gentle interruption. Ask the person if you can interrupt him or her and say sorry, and whatever you wanted to say must justify your interruption. We find out that by not interrupting others and focusing our attentions on what they say, we become listening to ourselves a lot more. Our conversation become more interesting, useful, worthwhile, and sometimes even joyful, instead of difficult, tiring, boring, and anxious. Third is, think before you speak. Another adage that perfectly describes this point is, look before your lip. You should think how your words are going to affect the person with whom you are communicating before making any comments. That means you should try to connect with the feelings of the other person in order to show that you genuinely care about the conversation that is going between the two of you. The next tips to get effective interpersonal skill is listen well. The ability to listen to what a person is saying is itself a skill, and you should focus on that while communicating with others. If you have good listening skills, you will be able to understand that person's words more clearly and react in a positive manner. It will also send a signal to the other person that you care about what he or she has to say. Next is, don't be defensive or attacking. Be neutral. Some people tend to get defensive or attacking during conversation. You do not have to get overexcited when someone points out your mistakes and get defensive or attack them. Be neutral and transparent so that you can understand what is actually being discussed. Always maintain the balance in the conversation so that everyone involved in the discussion has a fair part in it. In addition, the next tips for effective interpersonal skill is be confident of your ideas. You should always be confident of what you are speaking and should take ownership of your words. Will increase the trust that the other people have in you and make the conversation flow more freely. Others also feel confident to follow or trust on what you're telling them. Next is, be open to receiving feedback. Sometimes it is good to step back and be receptive to feedback.
Communication is a two-way process and should remain like that. You should be able to open up to feedback from the other person and give honest feedback whenever you feel it is needed. The last tip to get an effective interpersonal skill is use the right communication method. Communication may not necessarily always be verbal, and you should understand that different types of situations ask for different methods. You should know which type of communication method will be more effective. Location is also an important point to remember. Different types of communication need different locations. So that's all for me. I will pass to the last moderator. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you gained from this session? Let me help you to conclude the lesson summary. It is where the ability to communicate within organization depend heavily upon people's interpersonal skill. Interpersonal skills are the tools people use to interact and communicate with individuals in an organizational environment. The 7 types of interpersonal skills that are needed to succeed in an organizational environment are verbal communication, nonverbal communication, listening skill, negotiation, problem solving, decision making, and assertiveness. If an employee does not have the skill set, they are in danger of making poor decisions, having more communication skill, and causing the big problem at work. Ladies and gentlemen, this Mastery Interpersonal Communication Skill Talk is over this evening. Hopefully, today's sharing can focus on strengthening and cultivating ethics and integrity among employees. Millions of thanks to all of who attended to this training, and this session will ended with 2 poems. Di atas dahan burung tempua, melihat rusa tepi perigi. Salam perpisahan untuk semua, di lain masa bersua lagi. Bunga seroja di atas cemara, jatuh sekuntum di atas para. Andai kata tersilap bicara, kemaafan jua yang kami pinta. Thank you, and I wish you all the best in your career journey.